Hello students, good morning. Today we are going to start part 3 of the chapter Rural Livelihoods. In the previous video we discussed about various examples of the people, those who are engaged in various activities for their livelihood in villages like Tulsi, Sekar, Ramalingam, etc. But their conditions are completely different. In Kalpattu village, there are agricultural laborers like Tulsi and many small farmers like Sekar. Tulsi does not have any parts of land. She is completely dependent on the works she gets on others' field. Sekar has only 2 acres of land and a few big farmers like Ramalingam. He has 20 acres of land. A rice mill also. Clear? A shop also. In India, nearly 2 out of every 5 rural families, 2/5, it means 2/5, are agricultural laborers. Those do not have any land. All of them depend on the work they do on other people's fields to earn a living. It means for their livelihood. Many of them are landless and others may own very small plots of land like Sekar. In the case of small farmers like Sekar, their land is barely enough to meet their needs. It means it is not sufficient to meet their needs, but they have to sell also for their livelihood. In India, 80% of farmers belong to this group. It means in India, 80% farmers have 2 acres or less parts of land. Only 20% farmers are like Ramalingam, those who have big parts of land. So these large farmers cultivate most of the land in the villages. A large part of their produce is sold in the market. Many of them have started other businesses such as shops, money lending, trading, small factories, etc. Like Ramalingam has a rice mill. He also has opened a shop for selling seeds and fertilizers, etc. So he gets a big amount from these earnings. From the figures given above, would you say that a majority of the country's farmers are quite poor? Definitely we can say that most of the farmers of the country are poor. What do you think can be done to change the situation? If we want to change the situation of poor farmers, we should provide them good quality of seeds and at cheap rates. Pesticides, fertilizers also must be provided to the farmers, and we should provide them low interest rates loans from the formal sources of credits like banks and governmental resources. Clear? For credit. We also should provide them good prices for their crops, so their situation might be changed. Dear students, we have looked at farming in Kalpattu. Apart from farming, many people in rural areas depend upon collection from the forest, animal husbandry, dairy produce, fishing, etc. For example, in some villages in central India, like Madhya Pradesh, some parts of Chhattisgarh, and some parts of Maharashtra, etc. Both farming and collection from the forest are important sources of livelihood. Collecting mahua, tendu leaves, honey to be sold to traders is an important source of additional income. The people collect these kinds of commodities and things from the forest and they sell them to traders. Similarly, selling milk to the village cooperative society or taking milk to the nearby town may be the main source of livelihood for some families, because the families have their animals and after that they get milk and they supply to the people who require or who need these products. In the coastal areas, we find fishing villages. Let's find out more about the lives of a fishing family by reading about Aruna and Parivilan, who live in Pudupet, a village close to Kalpattu. So Pudupet is the village situated near to Kalpattu, not very far from Kalpattu is the village Pudupet. People here earn their living by fishing. It means fishing is the main profession of the people in this village. They catch fish and sell in the market. Their houses are close to the sea and one finds rows of catamarans and nets lying around. At about 7 o'clock in the morning, there is a lot of activity on the beach. This is the time when the catamarans return with their catch and women gather to buy and sell fish. Here, the example of Aruna and Parivelan, in which Aruna is saying that Parivelan and Aruna's brother and Aruna's brother-in-law returned late one day, and she was very worried about this, and she listened that means in the sea they were caught in a storm, and they have kept aside some fish for the family, and Aruna Aruna will auction the rest. The money Aruna gets from the auction will be divided into 4 shares. Which 4 shares? One each for each person and who went fishing, and the fourth one is for the equipment. So whatever equipments are required for fishing, for that also, since they own the catamaran engine and nets, they get that share too. And they have taken a loan from a bank and purchased an engine which is fixed onto the catamaran. Now they can go far into the sea so that they can get a better catch. It means more number of fishes could be kept if they go inside the sea, they go into the sea deeper. The women who buy fish here will carry them in baskets to be sold in nearby villages. Then there are others like traders who buy for the shops in the town. And then Aruna is saying, I'll only finish this auction by noon. In the evening, my husband and our relatives will untangle and repair our nets. Early tomorrow morning, around 2 a.m., they will set out to sea again. Every year for at least about 4 months during the monsoon, they cannot go to the sea because this is when the fish breed. During these months, we survive by borrowing from the trader. Because of this, later on, we are forced to sell the fish to that trader and cannot do our auction. So those loan months are the most difficult. Last year, we suffered a lot because of the tsunami. So dear students, here by reading this extract, we can know about the life of the people, those who are engaged in fishing. They have so many problems. The biggest problem is that they have to borrow during the non-working months, when means during monsoon. They cannot go to the sea to catch fish, right, because of various reasons. And so in this way we can say that fishing is also a seasonal work, and for whole year they cannot earn, they cannot catch fish, and they cannot earn